Module 10, Section 1, Part B. Another bacteria that can affect your colony is European Foulbrood. In this video, we will discuss how to differentiate this bacteria from American Foulbrood. A different Foulbrood. This is European Foulbrood. Now, American Foulbrood and European Foulbrood are completely different. The reason they're called American and European is not because of their origin. These are internationally found pathogens. The reason they're called European and American is because of the scientists who discovered and identified the species of these Foulbroods. Their origin, one was European and one was American. And this were origin identification of species was really organized in about 1906 to 1909. European Foulbrood presents differently. And the reason it presents differently is that the bacteria actually behaves extremely different in the bee gut than American Foulbrood. How it works is that it, like American Foulbrood, will infect an early stage larva, it'll enter the gut, and it competes for food in the gut of the bee, eventually starving that larva and then reproducing itself. Now, what makes European Foulbrood totally unique is it doesn't produce spores. So its vegetative state inside the bee that it kills is the only way for transmission of European Foulbrood to be distributed. So that means that the dead larvae that you see in the bottom of these cells, these can be produced from, scale as they die and they're left behind. As that nurse bee picks up that larva and carries it out the front door, it will have these spores on its mouth parts. But the other nice thing about European Foulbrood that makes it less aggressive than American Foulbrood is as it dies, it actually leathers and hardens the outer tissues of the larva. So it doesn't split open as easily as American Foulbrood. So if we look here at the rope test imagery, you can see on the left, European Foulbrood A, the color is not a coffee color. It tends to be more of an orange or yellow color. And then it will be slightly ropey, but it's not as sticky and slimy as American Foulbrood. The other thing is the scent. American Foulbrood will smell awful. It'll smell like rotting gym equipment. Here it says a sulfurous chicken house. European Foulbrood doesn't always smell at all. You'll also notice that the appearance of infected Foulbrood larva is it slackens to the bottom of that cell. But a lot of times with European Foulbrood is you'll have this tracheal tube that's often seen. So it'll look like a string that kind of holds across, and it's actually the tissue of the tracheal tube that becomes visible, or they'll twist. So they'll twist up inside the cell, like this one. Now, European Foulbrood, conventionally, you just isolate your equipment. Maybe you inspect the hives last. If you see inspected combs, you remove them and you can burn them. But in reality, it's a nutrition deficit issue. So that means that you can help eliminate European Foulbrood conditions by installing a feeder, because what the Foulbrood spores are doing is competing for nutrition in the gut of the larval stage bee. If you can flood your bees with food and overfeed your larvae, you can outcompete the infection of Foulbrood. The other challenge is that when you do have European Foulbrood in your hives, the reason you want to pull out those combs that have been infected is the only way that's going to continue to be transmitted is if your bees are touching the actual dead Foulbrood brood. So if you can remove those infected frames, then you're technically removing the risk of contamination. You can treat with the same antibiotics for American Foulbrood to treat European Foulbrood, although again, it's not as essentially needed, and you're going to want to restrict your antibiotic use anyways. No matter what, the antibiotics require a veterinarian prescription, and if you can easily resolve it with requeating, making sure there's good nutrition, feeding your bees, then there's no reason to be using an antibiotic. Now, there has been a new atypical virulent strains of European Foulbrood that are coming through, and they're extremely aggressive. It's rare in Canada for European Foulbrood to actually kill your hives, but in the last couple of years we're seeing different strains or species of European Foulbrood that are showing strange symptoms that are causing colony death. So down the road, European Foulbrood may become a greater issue for beekeepers to combat. So this is just information that's slowly changing. The industry is always changing and pathogens are always changing. So keep up to date on what's happening with these diseases over time and what's happening in your area. So being a part of a bee club will help you do that. Let's move on to the next exercise.